right, Lowell. Welcome again after I checked it after about 8 months, which means about in April when we had our last show, our last video on Zoom. And I'm so happy to welcome you back to the space, to the, of Europe. We've
Thank
been
you.
missing you.
Well, you haven't been missing me much because I have heard from others. Um, since you and I connected, a lot more of my attention has been toward Europe and not the impact my stuff is having on it, the impact that these energetic changes are having on all over the planet. I didn't really have any sense for any of that until really you were the first one that brought it to my attention. It wasn't that I didn't realize that when I was doing those podcasts, especially with Dave, that the audiences weren't picking it up in other countries. I thought it was fascinating, but until that kind of translated into YouTube in the videos, that was a whole nother stratum of attention that I didn't expect. I didn't seek, but it found me anyway. And so now it's time to, support those. Whatever this energetic stuff that's going on is going on. It's not limited to the United States. It's not limited to any particular place on the planet. This is going on everywhere. And I can see people's attitudes changing. There is the barometer for me. I see the people that have grown up around me, people my age, that I certainly didn't expect to change. We're just so entrenched in our conditioning and the way that we think. When I see changes in those people, I know that there's something way beyond us that's taking place here. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm curious that way. And so I've decided to, just step back from all the other 3D obligations. And it was a little easier for me.
Yes.
I could step away from work at this point. My family had grown. It was made possible for me to go and explore the things I wanted to explore. If there was some connections to spirit greater than myself, I'd had curiosities all my life, but really I hadn't had the time nor the opportunity to do that. Well, I do now. And apparently my attention was brought to all this for a reason. So I'm going to take a breath.
Yes, it was. I checked a couple of last videos that you made, and it's gone viral again. And there's something that goes on because I had an idea about a month ago to contact you, and then there were a few of our listeners of my say YouTube channel. We have a different word for it. And they actually mentioned and asked about you. Say, what about another conversation with Lowell?
Well,
so
here it is.
And then I wrote to you, and you say, oh, he was starting to get invitations. So here, a new cycle. And so I wonder what happened to you in between. And I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, in between, thank you. You're a dear, and I'm happy to be here. However, people need to get this information. It's a blessing to me. It's validation for me that other people are showing up, and we're not suffering. We're going through this evolution that we've heard about. We've seen the word on a page, but we really didn't understand what evolution meant. Well, you're in the middle of it, kids. And we're just about to the point where we're going to shift into humanity's next evolution. And that's why all these changes are taking place. Well, we could talk for hours on the process and what's taking place. But I am confident that most of your viewers are familiar with these concepts. and that they
Yes.
feel it too. And so when we get a chance to get together and kind of update one another on what's going on, what I have to report is that more of us have shown up. That last year, when the ethereal edge opportunity came along, which is kind of where our paths intersected, that blew up. And I checked. I don't know that Tara's really doing anything now for a while, but I checked that video and it had 217,000 clicks as of yesterday. How? I don't understand it. It's not like I'm pushing it out there to put it in front of anybody's eyes. That's the curiosity I have about how does this content end up in people's feeds.
Mhm.
Then we had Gareth, who was in Ireland and had heard that as well somehow and decided to reach out. His channel is very similar to me, to Ethereal Edge, in the number of followers it had. I think he had like 20,000 followers.
Mhm.
And his videos would get, like 1,000, 1,500 on an average. And then he'd have some with people like Vivienne Chavez, and those would reach, 20,000. I think Vivienne's was 11 months ago, and hers was the most the channel's ever had. It's had 64,000, which is, for his little channel, really respectable. So along comes Lowell. And the first one we did 2 weeks ago exploded. Oh, in a couple of days' time, it had 30,000 views. And I couldn't understand it. We were just kind of riding the wave. And during the first interview, we decided to do a second one. We talked about the pictures that I possessed, and maybe this is a good audience to share that with. So we decided to do that. So that was like a little over 2 weeks ago. So now that video has reached 52,000 as of today. And the second one we did, this will be 5 days now, is 44,000.
Wow.
How? So yeah, this is unusual for Gareth too, and we're all trying to figure out what this is. We're going to plan to do a live session where I've got 100 seats on my Zoom platform. You want to join us? We'll pick a time that seems to be convenient for everybody.
Yes.
And everybody's live. Ask your questions in front of everybody else. I think that's the next step. That's really when I started to do podcasts and what I thought they were going to be, that's what they were. I wasn't a host bringing in guests. I was sitting on a Zoom platform, and 6 or 8 people would show up and they had curiosities. And it was interesting to watch this kind of play out because for the first few, you could tell people had curiosities, but they weren't opening their mouth. They didn't want to really talk about the things that they wanted to talk about until a couple episodes in, they got comfortable that this might be a safe place to have these conversations. And then they started to open up. The conversations that we had in those early ones were amazing. They were a little less about me and my activities as they were about others who had similar circumstances. Since then, I've done tons of Zoom conferences, and dozens of them are still unlisted. People, yes, they wanted to record them, so they have them for posterity, but they weren't really ready for public to see them yet. There will be the day that they will, and then it's already sitting in the archive. That thing that we did together a while ago has been waiting there. And I see these as contributions to some kind of archive that when people start to wake up, and I've heard it more this week, it's fascinating to me to hear about the people that found me through Gareth and then went through a lot of the other videos on my channel. And they've been zeroing in on Dave and Dave's perspective of physics, especially, non-Terran physics, galactic physics. So there's a whole nother level of interest that's somehow come my way, and it's just not my way. I mean, I realize it, but I'm not the only one that is having these sensations.
Mm. It's just it's so much expanding in unknown ways. Yeah. And you are like a vessel to it. You know, you
Yeah.
and people are looking for information so much. There are a few channels as well in the Czech Republic. There are quite a lot of channels in Europe that people watch, but they're seeking true information. And the problem that we are having, as you mentioned, that we are suffering in the process, because we are waiting for the awakening, for the, for the big thing, etc. But people are suffering, and there's quite kind of a lot of separation. And I think that people need to be reminded about love, about understanding, and about how to say it, the knowledge how to recognize, to tell the truth from the lies. Discernment. That is so much going on in our circles now.
Yes. That discerning quality that we need right now it's just gotten worse. There's so much misinformation out there that you have to stop and run it through your discerning thing before you can decide whether this has any value for you or not. And it just keeps getting pushed out at us. It's not going to stop. There is I've come across some information in the last few months that changed my opinion about hope for humanity's evolution. I had lots of questions about it until then, but I learned something that had taken place that was so profound that really changed the nature of humans and our DNA, which we all know has been dicked with along the way. There was really never the opportunity for humans to exercise free will, because we had been manipulated in a way. When you learn what that manipulation was, how it came to us, that's a whole nother set of rabbit holes to go down. But I did it, and I've come to a conclusion on where we are and what all this means. There are vibrational changes that we are sensing, and because we were never plugged into any of this information before, it wasn't anything that we learned unless you had somebody in your circle that had a sense of these things in the past. And we've heard about aunts and grandmothers that had connections to spiritual things. But we're beginning to hear more about those types of things now, because it's starting to seep into our lives. This elevation of our consciousness, boy, if you can get in touch with this feeling, you'll know exactly where we're going. We're electromagnetic beings to begin with. So when we say we sense things, we feel things, it's the sixth sense that we've been talking about. But we're starting to get into these situations where they can only be described by how it feels, not by what I've heard, not by what I've seen, not by what I've smelled or touched. It's what I've felt, and that's very profound. Once you get into that zone, I can tell you with great certainty, you are now straddling these dimensions. You're starting to experience what's in the next realm that we're moving into, and you have the ability to remember that now. We've had lots of experiences. If you believe in reincarnation, then you've certainly had past lives. And right now, your DNA is being restored so that those things that you've experienced in the past are coming into your wherewithal right now. So you have some sense of something I've done before and it seems so real. Well, there's truth to that. You've unlocked layers of your DNA that had just been disabled, should we say? Maybe that's a good word, but they're not anymore. Oh, that repair work is coming right now because these changes that are coming associated with the earth is going to require our vibration to be higher. And that is what's taking place right now. If I look at how we've advanced technologically, in my opinion, we've grown over the last 50 years faster than we did in the last 13,000. Look at what we've done. Think of, what the United States was like in the 1920s, and look at where we are now. How we made like these quantum leaps into technology, and we're right back at the same place where we've misused power we've been given. We weren't ready for it. But this time, Earth is no longer stuck in her third dimensional construct. She's moving out of that. And so the things that we're used to in physicality here, the qualities that you talk about when you sense unity and compassion and love, that's the foundation of this next realm. Duality lessons are done. So we don't have to go through those things anymore.
I actually have a
like
question.
You want to say something. Go
yes,
ahead.
because this is so profound, so important. You mentioned the DNA repair. Now, it comes as our DNA is being repaired, then we are opening up to the different frequencies, and we are starting to ask different questions, and the new answers come, new realities. Now,
Yes.
how do you think that this DNA repair is being done? Is it done by our effort, if I say effort, or is it also, are we being helped towards it by the circumstances, by the light, by the sun?
It's the second. No, absolutely. If you understand where this Earth is being bathed by a new level of light plasma, and if you've been watching the sun and all of the phenomenon around what she's been doing, she's still very active. It was always my understanding that when this change took place in Earth, it was going to be due to some solar phenomenon. But in order for me to really understand what that was going to be, I had to understand the solar system a little better than that. And so now I understand that that influence is coming from a cosmic cycle we're in around our central sun. Alcyon is our central sun, and our galaxy goes around Alcyon. Well, in 2012, we completed that cycle, and it coincided with two other bigger cycles. This idea of the golden age and the age of Aquarius, we crossed into that plane in 2012. We've been there ever since. And so it took a little while for our entire solar system to be in an elevated band of photon energy that's coming at us from the central sun. Mm-hmm. For the next 2,000 years, our solar system is bathed in this elevated light coming our way. So the planet and every sentient life form on Earth has been hammered with this new light energy. It's going to change us at a cellular level, which it's already doing. It's adapting us for the new conditions we're going to find when we get to New Earth. These are subtle things that are taking place, but it's the reason why you can start to recognize things in higher levels, why you can experience those things in higher levels. Our bodies were not adapted for the light that we are receiving. And so those changes have been taking place inside of us, whether we are aware of it or not. Those of us are aware can speak about those things that are happening. And whether it's a seed we plant with somebody else, and a few months later, all of a sudden something comes to them and this now it starts to make sense. That's what I think is taking place. But it's been going on around me now for 4 years, and I see a profound change in the last year or so. I don't know when this final triggering is going to take place, but as I understand it, and I'm looking at this crazy activity on the sun now, right now, there's a huge sunspot, greater than what they thought the Carrington event sunspot was on, and it's moving into an Earth-facing position. So if that decides to shoot off in our direction, we're not ready at all for what's going to take place, and there's no getting ready for it. When it comes our way, we've already had experiences during solar storms where satellites have been taken out, where grids have had power losses. Well, those were previews of what's about to come, because that's going to happen on a greater scale, and no one's coming to fix it. Once that grid work is gone, now we're forced to go back to the adaptations we had before when we're talking with people telekinetically. And telepathy is it. And the Earth and where we are is different from what we think right now. I know these are squirrely ideas, but they're coming.
Maybe
And
there
there's
will
proof.
maybe there will be new technologies that are hiding, that are getting ready to be revealed, that cannot be revealed yet. Yeah.
There definitely are. Look, there's technology that we should have had long ago that's been suppressed by organizations that know about it and kept it from humanity for normally greed reasons.
You know,
but it's changing.
there has been an enormous number of channels popping out discussing the topic Tartaria, free energy, those beautiful cathedrals built as technologies, and it's just like exploded. And
Yes.
it's coming into the people have been discussing it more and more, and they are discovering our hidden past, or let's say after the reset or before the resets. And this is something like, I feel like our consciousness is expanding as a result of that.
All that's happening at the same time. And we're trying to figure out what it is while it's going on. I laugh a lot because until we go through these new experiences and we have some kind of frame of reference, we don't know what it is. It's just new to me. And so sometimes it can be a little unsettling when something extraordinary happens and it's never happened to you before. It has to happen a few times before you have some frame of reference. Well, enough time has passed, at least around me, that I've seen these extraordinary things. I finally listened to somebody else kind of give me a reflection of, what's happened for me over the last 4 years. And even they recognize now, when they heard the story about being invited in to tell us an amazing opportunity to go. But a year later, when I'm in photographs interacting with light beings, this is a whole nother realm of experience. So that's when I finally concluded, well, wait a minute. Those are multidimensional experiences. They're never going to be the same if you finally just resign yourself to that. They're going to grow. I can tell you for myself, I thought I had dealt with my fear reflex, and I had, but there's still something unsettling about experiencing things you've never experienced before. The only thing that's going to hamper that is just time and the next experience, but they're going to keep coming. My opinion is that the reason we are being awakened in the way that we are, and we're being influenced by higher beings all the time, we just need to kind of pay attention and try and plug into that. That's what's going to prepare us for what's coming. And when I see new people showing up, well, I think it's just been latent in them for a while that they've known about this feeling too, but who do I share it with? Same reason I started talking in the first place. I just had some crazy experience. Can somebody help me understand what it was? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I live in that field now. I'm like, I know about the influence of the higher beings or the angels, guardians, whoever it is, the elementals. I don't see them, I don't directly speak with them, but I know they are there constantly. But then, and of course, there are that I know that a huge number of people are now like you and me are discussing. But also here and now I get the message, like, I'm so glad that I found your videos or somebody else's videos, because in my surroundings there are people who don't understand me, and I hear it every single week, something like that. People feel disconnected. Yeah, maybe they are the people who are coming out of the or just maybe turning on, let's say. Yeah, that and suddenly they feel the illusion collapses. I don't know. But this is the fact. People feel still isolated and
Yeah, I don't know that I've found any kind of common thread between, one person's awakening and another. They all seem to be triggered in different ways, and at different levels, and we should respect that. Look, we're all here to achieve some kind of mastery. Forget the education models that, we've been placed into. That's not really the way we were supposed to learn, because it does not take advantage of our natural gifts. Each one of us is unique and has something to offer that none of the rest of us do. Your experiences, your lessons, all lined you up for a journey I am not taking, and a mastery that you're supposed to achieve that I cannot. And so I love when those people show up in the tribe, because I know what gifts I carry. I sense what gifts you carry. But when somebody new shows up, it's something different, isn't it? And
Yes.
now look what the collective is capable of doing when this new person showed up that I can't do what they do. It's the easiest thing for them to do. I marvel at when they do it. It wasn't my gift, but that's what's happening right now. Every person's kind of getting dialed in to the thing that draws their attention. And there's a very important reason why that's happening right now.
You have mentioned something very important. It should really be heard here. Now, I sense there is a great division even in the esoteric community. I don't want to call it esoteric. It's just waking up or awake community. They are also pointing at each other fingers, and there are those who are not. And I would like to stress here what you just said, to see the gift in each person, even though no matter what they are like each person carries unique frequency, unique gift. And once we see that, there's no more division.
That's absolutely true. We've been forced into it. Our conditioning has got us here. And it's certainly the nature of the planet. We are here to learn duality lessons. And so you're going to learn the good stuff and you're going to learn the bad stuff. So you have some context. It's part of the lessons you signed up for. We didn't realize, at least I didn't realize, that that's what was happening here until much later in my life. But now that I see it for what it is, I see it in others as well.
I have so many questions on you. I don't know what to ask first, but
Well, then here's your shot.
okay, it's just just you being here. It doesn't matter us being here. So Where do I start? I started making a note. Oh, okay. So maybe many of us seem to have been born with some kind of predisposition to have different perception, and we have felt behind our whole lives. Yeah. We didn't have success like in business or in many other aspects of life, and a lot of people have been born to actually quite families. I don't know if it's the same in America, but here in Europe we have that thing that we've been born to families that made it harder for us to, overcome things. So, but now a lot of people are starting to question their identity, and they are noticing that there is really something to them, and they feel that the time that's coming, that is actually for them now, that the time is coming for them, for their
Yeah.
gifts to shine. How do you feel about it? Because you were successful in your business, but also
Mhm.
you stopped and now you carry on with
Yeah, I left
doing.
all that. What the hell was I thinking? I was making six figures a year and decided that I was going
Can't
to
even
leave all
imagine
that
that.
and chase this. Yeah. Uh, I have a perspective on individual souls and my belief in reincarnations and past lives um, goes one step further. That when we decide on these incarnations, because it's my opinion, we do choose. We choose our circumstances. So when I say we choose our circumstances, that includes our parents and our families. We make those choices based on my soul contract and the lessons that I have signed up to learn while I'm here on my journey. Some people's journeys are short, some people's are long. Some people's intersect a lot of people and some don't. Some people decide that they're going to be here for 4 years on our linear time and then they're gone. These things all leave us poor little humans puzzled as to why. Well, if we look at ourselves as that soul unit inside with lessons that we came here to subscribe to learn, it's not our last incarnation. It's just this one. And we decided that we were going to focus on this, and this while we were here. And this is a free will planet, and we're still in a third dimension.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, yes. So we are noticing that actually this is the right time for us, and all the sorry and I don't know what regrets, they are actually going into the background because we are becoming strong. We are coming, how to say it properly in English, we are coming into our strength.
We are with what we have to control. Now, it's not to say that humanity has not been manipulated along the way. We were. But there was something really significant that happened back in 2008 that I learned about a few months ago, and you won't leave my. I can't forget it. Was just the idea was so profound. Um, I'll share a bit about it. I
Please.
hope people understand the concept, and I'm going to talk about things that I was uncomfortable about talking about before, and it has to do with Archangel Lucifer. I
Mhm.
call him Archangel Lucifer as opposed to Satan because he was one of the greatest archangels as I understand it. Now, what he decided to do was kind of divinely inspired as well. If we see it as, he wanted to challenge God and wanted to challenge the ideas of divinity and why he couldn't have it, looking back at this circumstance, if this wasn't aligned with the creator, he would have shut it down. He wouldn't have allowed it, but he did. There were lessons for us to learn in this scenario. And so it was Lucifer who came up with a way to manipulate humans, almost in put us in karmic cycles where we just kept repeating the same thing over and over again. And if you've read a book by Drunvalo Melchizedek, he talks about this Luciferian experiment, this phenomenon. And Lucifer figured out a way to separate the human heart into two flowers of life, There's where our duality got stuck. So the story behind the decision for him to change his mind about doing that and restoring that ability back to the creator happened in 2008. Two humans decided that they were just going to ask Lucifer if he would, once they understood what had taken place, they went to him and asked him if he would reconsider. There is a solution-oriented approach if I've ever heard one, and it just struck me so profoundly, I didn't really realize what had happened. Now, along with this interaction between these two humans and Lucifer, there was, let's call it a council that was assembled, 12 entities that sat on this council that had input on humanity's evolution. Some of it was influence from Sirius. Some was from the Pleiades. Some was from Inner Earth. Some was from the cephalopods, the whales and the dolphins. Some of it was from the elementals. All of the members of this council were familiar to me. And so when I heard through these sessions were this exchange of the idea of Lucifer, relinquishing his power back to the creator, each one of them had a perspective on interactions and responsibilities that they'd had with humanity. And they could see where we were stuck. Anyway, to make a long story short, and the story is very interesting, and the interactions between these galactic beings was fascinating to me. It just all was truth. Well, as of July 1st, 2008, every soul born on the planet, their flower of life was unified, no longer separated. So that's why when we see those kids that just seem like they have wisdom beyond their years, you are witnessing those whose DNA was not that handcuffed, not like ours. Somehow we had to break out of this veil that was making us forget what we knew before. Some of that is dissolving for a lot of us, and we're coming into things that we remember that we shouldn't. These individuals are coming into their existences without that forgetfulness at all. Mm-hmm. So when I say that I have hope for humanity, that thing that kept us from evolving has been eliminated in anyone born after July 1st, 2008. And that's not to say that those of us that are older than that somehow weren't influenced, and our consciousness was also elevated. So we have a sense of what's going on and can talk about it. Mm. I'm blown away by that. People need to know what happened back then. And the story had only really been accumulated in October of this year.
Was it a story that was somewhere published, and
it's in the process of being published? The gentleman who I met who was part of this endeavor, Peter, he's Australian originally, but he lives in Great Britain. That had taken place. It's called the Melvedek Alliance. And that took place in Australia over a 2-week period. And so there were transcriptions made of these exchanges I was describing with these other entities. And once the transcriptions were finished, then it could be put in a book form. Because I think there was 24, 26 hours of transmissions that they had recorded that just needed to be transposed.
So are you saying that there were two people who were in some kind of trance or something, and they dared to speak to Lucifer during
One of them was, yes.
like
Well, they were
tuning?
both speaking to him, but there was one person that was doing the majority of the channeling, and that was Mel. He's got some gift that's undeniable, but when you start to listen to these transmissions or read through them, this isn't any human talking. When you understand what's being said, this isn't presented by any person.
This is it just brings me back to it's not about, yes, we have to be loving, we have to really be aware of our thoughts, how to control our thoughts, being positive, all those things, yes, but you are bringing into our awareness the fact that we have been manipulated on some
Yes,
level that we cannot just easily, if at all, correct.
we could not. That's absolutely true. But things have changed, and now we can. He no longer perpetuates any of that energy any longer and hasn't since July of 2008. Now, that's not to say that the residue from everything that's been on the planet isn't going to go away anytime soon. However, can you see now how we're evolving out of it? Those people that were just stuck in that place, that just they can't see anything beyond themselves and greed
Yes,
and all
you
that.
know,
They can't grow out of it, but they're not going to last on the planet much longer either.
please, there is that
Yes.
little experiment with the fleece, someone put the fleece, lots of fleece in the jar, and they kept coming out of it. And then they put the lid on the jar and left it, I don't know, 3 days, let's say, I think 3 days. Then they opened it, and the fleece did not jump out of the jar anymore. They were going only to the level of the lid. Now that tells us that we are so conditioned into thinking that the reality is some kind of box, that it has to take us, it has to take something to think beyond that reality to get
Yes.
ourselves out again.
Yeah. Can you pinpoint what that is? Because I don't know what it is either. But you
I don't
just
know.
explained it in such a lovely way. I hope people that hear this really understand what you just said, because it's very accurate. But that's not a thought that came to yourself all by yourself, did it?
No, it just popped in.
Yeah.
Yes, because we have transmissions from somewhere else. All right, and could I talk to you about Zoom? Would it be possible to have
Sure.
Zoom with you again,
Oh,
Lowell?
yes, absolutely. We should. We definitely should. I think I'm inclined to do something live. What do you think? And I know that there's going to be a language barrier, but I'm open to doing one live and inviting other people in and letting them ask the questions that they've got. What do you is that what you had in mind?
Yes, would it be for you to do it live on
It's up to you.
for the Europeans here, for the Czech and Slovak
Sure. If
people?
we do it at this time during my day, it works out fine, because really 5 o'clock your time is 10 o'clock my time in the morning. So if that's not too late to get started on your end, I'm fine with that.
Brilliant. We will
Mhm.
discuss it and I will announce it to our listeners when
It's
it's there.
it's funny that you asked me this, because Gareth asked me the same thing. It just seems like that's the next step after, okay, you've heard me, then you heard me and showed me picture, and I showed you pictures. Now you need an opportunity to ask questions you've got that haven't been answered yet. I'm happy to do that.
Yes, that's fine. Great, great. All right, Laura. So I think we should just say some few words towards the end of our video and look forward to seeing each other again, hopefully with the listeners, and they will get ready some questions for you.
Good.
They always have a lot of questions. Profound.
Good. They should get them answered.
Is there something that you would like to say to us? How is America, by the way? How is the atmosphere there? And,
Well, if you pay attention to the news, it's not good.
No.
But you've got to eliminate the white noise in order to stay focused on what's taking place. Because these energetic changes are taking place regardless of whatever else is going on the planet. So if I want to tune into it and understand it, I got to block out all the rest of the white noise. And try and remove myself from it. Or you just feed your energy to that.
Exactly.
All you have to do is look at it, and there goes your attention, and you've just set your sovereignty along with it. We can take back our power, and everything's being lined up for us to do that very thing right now. If you haven't watched these, administrative things kind of breaking down, they're breaking down all around us. That's why I don't put too much of my attention and energy on it, because it's going to sort itself out. Nothing I'm going to talk about, if I wanted to bitch about circumstances that I knew were wrong and you all should know about it, what does that really accomplish? It just feeds the same energy. So no, I'm going to think of another way. If I have to think about it, then I'm going to spin this in a positive way to, come to terms with why this is happening now, when we're on really a positive projectile, if you ask me. The Earth is moving in the direction, and every effort is being made to wake us up to get to the same vibration level she's at. So in answer to your question, what would I leave people with? Raise your vibration. Figure out what that means. When you feel good, your vibration's high, and you'll start to sense all this other stuff around you that I've been talking about. When you get your vibration right, there are other things taking place on this plane that you're not aware of until your vibration gets here. Then it's a matter of holding it there and maintaining it, so you're not riding this roller coaster of, God, I feel really good, and then something crappy happened, and it just dropped.
Yeah.
And it's not impossible to get back to where you were, but rising your vibration is a whole lot harder than watching it drop. All I can say is just guard it.
Yes, you said it beautifully, because once you raise the vibration, we feel all the good things, freedom, magic, everything. We feel at that. So we are connecting to the higher planes of consciousness. The questions that we are asking, answers started to come. But also at the same time, being there, it means that the mara, the mud down there, that the negative stuff that's happening, it solves itself, because we are in this position. It just has to fall.
I understood as this concept of timelines that are separating. And, this is the fourth dimensional off to New Earth timeline, and this is the third dimensional that's going off to entropy. That's exactly how I see it. That the things that aren't getting fixed are dismembering all on their own, dissolving all on their own, and no one had to do anything. Well, that was the entropy that we were told was coming. Yes, but we're geared up for the ride to New Earth. Our vibration matches that already. And I can say, at least for myself with great certainty, that there's a really finite amount of third dimensional time remaining. That's it.
Okay, that's fantastic. We will leave it with that. We will remain in this vibration. This is what we want to know, what we want to know. Yes.
Well, good. Okay. Then the next time we get together, it'll be with a lot of others.
Yes. Good. We're looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Lowell, and just wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
I want to see you again.
Okay.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.